Hey everyone. Please support what I do to help keep Greyhawk alive by subscribing to the channel. Also, please consider becoming a channel member to get early access to videos, exclusive live chats, quarterly adventure modules, and more. Thanks, and enjoy the show.
Celestian has always been a deity in the world of Greyhawk that was kind of interesting to me, so I want to talk about him today on Greyhawk Grognard. So when they first started rolling out the gods of Greyhawk in Dragon Magazine, and those were later incorporated into the gold box, one of the first ones that was introduced was Celestian, the Far Wanderer. Celestian is a lesser god. He's common throughout the Flanaess, but was originally of Iridian origin. And he is the god of stars, space, and wanderers. He's neutral with good tendencies, and he himself is male. In my well-worn copy of the guide to the World of Greyhawk, I am going to just get some highlights here. Um, it is said that Celestian and Farlangen are brothers who followed similar but different paths. While the latter chose the distances of the world, Celestian was drawn to the endless reaches of the stars and the astral plane. He appears as a tall, lean man, yada yada. He says what he carries and so forth. The guide was very interested in the gods themselves as as entities that would be able to interact with characters in the campaign. Says, all gives different powers that he has. He can create chill and the vacuum of space. He can blind creatures with the brilliant light of stars and so forth. Um, uh, Celestian's habits and disposition usually keep him from close association and involvement with other gods. He has, in fact, but a small following amongst mankind. Those who involve themselves with the cosmos or the sky, scholars, astronomers, astrologers, navigators, dreamers, make up the bulk of the Celestian faithful. His priests wander the land, emulating their deity wherever possible by actually traveling the reaches of space. So this would be a perfect god if you were interested in doing a Spelljammer Greyhawk game set in gray space. You would absolutely, if you wanted to get your players into gray space, have them have them encounter a priest of Celestian who has access to a Spelljammer or whatever. That way you can get them out into gray space and so forth. So it's actually, they set that up really nicely, and I don't believe that gray space. I mean, gray space mentions Celestian, but I don't really think they leaned into that too heavily. So that is a lost opportunity in my opinion. He is an associate of some of the quasi deities. Heward and Kedem are said to be. You can encounter them with Celestian, and he's also Celestian is an associate of Kedem and is on good terms with Zagig. So that's an interesting thing. In the glossography, which I have in my little hand right here. It gives his stats. Again in first edition they gave actual stats for the gods as if they were like in a monster manual. Um, Later on they kind of amended that to be this is the avatar of the deity. So I think that makes a little more sense. His symbol is a black circle with 7 stars. Now, 7 stars are very interesting because in classical mythology, the 7 planets, the 7 movable stars, because those are the visible ones, they were the only stars that were available, to the human eye. So, Mercury, Venus, the Moon, and on and so forth. Because obviously you couldn't see the furthest out planets like Neptune and Pluto and so forth. Um, so that became the basis of classical astrology, and later on in the Middle Ages, that they were limited to the what was visible to the naked eye, and then later on, of course, they added others to it. But the fact that gray space here has 7 planets, 7 stars is very interesting because it does have that classical historical connection. He's a 4th level cleric. He's a 15th level ranger. He's a 14th level magic user. He's got 18s and 19s and 20s in all of his stats, as you would expect. It gives the stats for the various powers that he has that were described in the guide. And he can travel astrally. He can gate in astral devas, and gives a little information on the specialty clerics of Celestian. By paying an additional 10% of their XP, they can gain extra spells at different levels. So they get Featherfall, Jump, Levitate, Spider Climb, Fly, Dimension Door, and Teleport. All things associated with movement. in one way or another, which is very thematic, very on point, which I really like. Um, uh, Now he was covered again in From the Ashes, but there weren't any real material changes. They He has appeared a couple of times in various places, but he's mostly name checked, right? There's no real big adventures around him, and there's no real major write ups of him. But we do see him in the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer. If I can get to the page, which I helpfully marked. And yet, okay, yeah. So he is in the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer. It doesn't add a lot. In fact, the Gazetteer really um, generally shows less of the gods than the guide does because it doesn't include them as like stats. They don't have stat blocks for the gods. But here again, he's same. The Far Wanderer. He's neutral with neutral good tendencies. Here, he's an intermediate god. So he gets kind of that happened. They bumped up a lot of the lesser gods into intermediate god status, and I think that happened in From the Ashes as well. Um, and the distant stars are an inspiration to travel. Be encouraged to wander far from home, just as the stars do. That stars are eternal and are pleased to be a guide for both legs of a journey. The stars are eternal and are pleased to be a guide for both legs of a journey. The stars may reveal their secrets if you study them. The clerics are divided into 7 orders, as we saw. Again, one for each star in the movable star in the sky. Um, and it gives the same, clerics are scholars, astronomers, planar explorers with a few sailors. They search the world, sky, and planes for artifacts of the stars, fragments of meteorites, and lore relating to the stars, space, or the planes. Many of his clerics made a pilgrimage to a holy site in the Barrier Peaks. That's the first, as far as I know, that's the first mention we have of that. Celestian is a favored deity of good aligned members of evil non-human races. While their eyes are unable to tolerate daylight, they find acceptance and hope in the light of the stars. That's another interesting thing because that sort of uh, speaks to characters like Drizzt Do'Urden from the Forgotten Realms. You get a good aligned Darrow or a good aligned Drow or something like that. It would make sense that they'd be drawn to a god like Celestian. I also am covering Celestian in my upcoming Greyhawk Cleric's Guide, where I draw on these sources and translate it into 5th edition. By the time this video comes out publicly, that actually might be available. It's not yet as I record this, but who knows what happens in those 2 magic weeks. Anyway, that's what we got on Celestian. He's, very, like I say, he's a kind of an aloof god for a lesser god, but he's also very fascinating. A lot of good ties for adventurers in particular, especially if you want to go with the spell jamming route. So yeah, there we go. Another one down. So anyway, hope you like this one. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. And I'll talk to you all later.
Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.